Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to College Football Live. We are going into our big conference of the week, which is the Big Ten Conference. I'm here with my good buddy and Big Ten fan, Jim Armpriester. Welcome to College Football Live, my good friend.
Hello, Mikey. It's good to be here.
And now, one big thing I wanted to talk about was the speed of the quarterbacks recently. I mean,
Okay.
I saw stats from 3 QBs, Terrell Pryor, Robinson of Michigan, and this kid, Taylor Martinez from Nebraska.
Yeah.
Do we see a shift in in the styles that college football is using and then might transition to the NFL?
There's a slight shift. I mean, there's been a trend. I mean, you have Steve McNair way back when, Donovan McNabb. So it's been a constant thing, but there has been, I've noticed, more of a shift, especially in the Big Ten, which predominantly isn't that style.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Rich Rodriguez coming to Michigan, that was his whole hope, was to change that up and add that style. But Ohio State's kind of had two running quarterbacks in a row with Heisman Trophy winner Troy Smith,
Mm-hmm.
and then Beckman in between, and then going back to another running quarterback. But I would say for the Big Ten especially, it's been a recent shift to have more mobile quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. And with Nebraska coming to the Big Ten next year, they're bringing Martinez, who's only a freshman, so he's going to have that speed and momentum. I mean, I've looked at stats, 21 rushes, 284 yards, and 5 touchdowns rushing.
Yeah, he's a good runner. Of the 3 running quarterbacks you mentioned, he's got the most work to do because his passing just isn't at the same level. I think he threw for just over 100 yards in that game. I'm not sure exactly. But, yeah, no touchdowns and a pick. So, of all the running style quarterbacks, he's the one that needs to I guess, to develop more. But Pryor was the same way when he was younger. Pryor, you know, would be very much just a run first, and he's finally developing into that passer. Mm-hmm. So Taylor's got some developing to do.
Mm-hmm. And I want to get back to some of what we were what I was talking about with all the scores. We've had a lot of big games today. Michigan with Notre Dame and Ohio State with Miami, that's right. So, and Penn State with Bama. So Penn State ended up dropping their game to Bama 24-3. Is it because of their freshman quarterback Bolden, or do you think Alabama's just a hugely stronger team? I know SEC usually is stronger, so what's your take on it?
Again, I think Penn State is the 4th or maybe even 5th best team in the Big Ten, playing against the best SEC team. So I wouldn't necessarily say the Big Ten is weaker. I would say, it's like throwing our 5th stringer at their 1st string. They're not going to do as well. But yeah, definitely having a freshman quarterback didn't help. It's week 2. He did all right. He played Youngstown State. Youngstown State last week, and it was just a different level. It was away, and just a lot of pressure. There were some instances, I think, in the first half they should have had 10 more points and just turnovers with the fumble that wasn't his fault, and then the interception that took away the field goal. Yeah. So I would say a big part is him just being new. I wouldn't give up on him yet. I think he has a chance to develop.
I mean, I saw definitely shimmers of hope, and he ended up doing pretty well. And they were, the analysts on ESPN were saying that he was doing pretty well and holding his own, but Bama just stepped it up a notch.
Yeah, and even everyone was saying that Bama, didn't return very many starters from last year, but they're still Alabama, every year.
And they got Nick Saban as head coach. I mean, Nick Saban and Joe Pa are two of the legendary coaches, minus Bobby Bowden and Bear Bryant.
Yeah. Woody Hayes.
Yeah, so...
And Jim Tressel eventually.
Yeah, and Tressel has been making his way up. And speaking of Tressel and Ohio State, they had a pretty tough game against Miami. They ended up winning, what was it, 36-24.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know you were watching that game like religiously because you're a
Big
OHIO fan.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, what do you take from that game, and
Well,
what you think they can do in Week 3 against Ohio to step it up more?
Well, I think the real challenge won't be till October 16th when they play Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they have some time to kind of fix things. The main thing they need to fix is special teams.
Mm-hmm.
They allowed, for the first time in school history, they allowed both a punt and a kick to be returned for a touchdown. So they need to have better coverage. They need to make sure to fill the gaps, not miss tackles. On the punt return, he should have been hit right away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that Jim Tressel will fix, because
Mm-hmm.
Jim Tressel is very big on ball control. Mm-hmm. He likes to play some Tressel ball. Field position is his style.
Mm-hmm.
Good things to see was just the explosion of their defense. Miami couldn't handle them. The pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was 4 interceptions, even one by a defensive end, Cameron Hayward, which is probably at least top 3 as defensive ends in the country right now. So there was a lot of positives. Prior, when he's good, he was really good. When he was bad, he was bad. I think he went 12 for 27. So his accuracy was a little rough, but he ran the ball very well. And his decision making was decent. He just gotta get those intermediate passes down.
Pryor had 113 yards.
Yeah, 113 rushing. So he did very well. And a lot of his rushes were not designed; they were just scrambles. But he did very good. I was impressed with Pryor. He's just got to get his accuracy a little better on those intermediates, and he'll be a good contender for the Heisman this year.
And I know you mentioned Rich Rodriguez with Michigan and him bringing back that running QB style, like more Wildcat stuff. And that Michael Vick, and you forgot him. He was big with Wildcat when he was with the Falcons. And they tried implementing that with Philly, but
Virginia Tech,
Vatek dropping to James Madison today.
Yeah, big surprise.
So, actually, I said that right.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech dropping. Yeah. Okay. But back to Michigan. Robinson, he was a definite, Denard Robinson, he was a huge playmaker. I think he might have been player of the game for that one.
I'm sure he was.
28 carries for 258 yards today, 2 TDs, and throwing for 244 and a TD. So
it was very impressive. And Notre Dame is not where they were yet, but they're still a solid team. So he was playing against a team that was a legitimate team. It wasn't
under a new head coach,
State.
A new head coach Brian Kelly too.
Yeah, and who's a very good coach. And he did. I was surprised that he was able to carry over the success he had in Week 1 to Week 2 against a very competitive team. And but yeah, he's bringing a style. He could potentially lead Michigan to this rebuilding process where they're trying to get back to where they were 3 years ago, where they were the number 2 team. It might have been, it's 3 or 4 years ago they were number 2. So when they lost to Ohio State, so it's exciting to see. The Big Ten is moving up, and it's good to see.
Yep, and let me just recap some of the other Big Ten games that were on tap. Northwestern winning 37-3. They're 2-0 on the year. They probably had a pretty easy schedule, but when does Ohio State even face Northwestern?
No, Ohio State doesn't face Northwestern this year, so nor will they next year either, because when they split, they're not in the same.
Yeah, that's gonna next year. They're gonna have that split between the two. Minnesota dropped to South Dakota 41-38. So
yeah, that was the biggest surprise. You know, we like to see all Big Ten teams do well outside of conference. It just helps the Big Ten, and so that was a shocker. But they're still a lower team, and I think the top four teams this year, if Michigan being, I think has passed Penn State as the fourth best team in the Big Ten. I think the top four are very solid, and Penn State is a pretty good team too. So I don't
but
think
with their young,
yeah,
because they lost a good amount of seniors, so with their young talent, they are still middle of the pack, but not as great.
They're middle of the pack, but they're looking up. And I think by the end of the season, their quarterback will start to catch on a little better. And again, Alabama is Alabama. I think number one team in the country is just a lot to ask for a freshman quarterback, true freshman.
Wisconsin, you say that Ohio State was going to probably have a difficult time with them. They ended up beating San Jose State 27-14. Michigan State ends up defeating Florida Atlantic. Really not a huge big deal. 30-17.
Yeah.
I didn't really mention who your top who your top four was. I'm
Ohio
sure
State
Ohio State
won.
Michigan, you said 4. Who are the two in between, you think?
I think Iowa's I think the preseason polls are right with Iowa as the second best, and then Wisconsin as third, and Michigan has looked so well. I don't want to overhype them because we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But they played a very impressive game, whereas Wisconsin against San Jose State, winning by what, 13? Is that right?
It's 13.
Yeah, that just didn't impress me. I think the 11th best team in the country should have had a better showing. But yeah, there's a lot of the middle, and in the middle it's hard to pick too. After you get past Penn State at 5, it's kind of hard to see because they're pretty competitive with Michigan State and
Purdue with their win 31-21 after their loss to Notre Dame actually.
Yeah. So,
and then Illinois beat Southern Illinois 35-3.
Yeah, I'd still put Purdue, Illinois, and Indiana in the bottom 3, but Michigan State, Northwestern, they're all kind of very, very decent teams for being at the lower end of the Big Ten.
And we mentioned Iowa, which you said was your number 2 for the Big Ten. They easily handled Iowa State 35-7.
And I think of all the teams Ohio State has to worry about, it's Iowa. I mean, when they play Michigan, Michigan always is.
That's a rivalry for the ages. Yeah. I mean, it's either the dog pound. No, wait, I'm thinking
the horseshoe.
Horseshoe, or what's do they just call it?
I don't know. Ann Arbor. I forgot. It's something because they're under the sea level or something. I forget the name.
I forget it myself, but I mean, it's going to be interesting when Nebraska comes over. I didn't even see Indiana. Did they have like a bye week or something, or did they not play this week? Or I didn't see anything for them, which is shocking.
Yeah, I thought they played earlier, maybe.
Sorry about that. We had some. My house had some technical difficulties. I just want to mention Jim's final thought. He had to duck out for some other stuff. Don't forget about Iowa. Iowa has been a very strong team, and Ohio State's most worried about Iowa, and Iowa is pretty much like the second team in the Big Ten. But that concludes the big conference of the week. We'll probably touch on another big conference where there might be huge games in store, so you don't want to miss it. But that's pretty much it here for College Football Live and that show. And I just looked at baseball score and I did not want to see it that way. So I am Mikey Edwards for Jim Armpriester and for Dylan Flickinger and Mikey Hattinger, who couldn't be with us tonight. I am Mikey Edwards saying good night, God bless, see you next time for College Football Live here on the M. Edwards Show YouTube channel.